بعدين نروح على lesson 4 من topic 7. waves. Okay, what is a wave? Is any disturbance that transfers energy from place to place. يعني all waves transfer or carry energy from place to place. There are two types of waves, the mechanical wave and the electromagnetic wave. Okay, you have to know that a mechanical wave, يعني what is the difference between a mechanical wave and the electromagnetic wave? Can anyone tell me what is the difference قبل لا أحكي؟ What is the difference between a mechanical wave and the electromagnetic wave? How are they different? A mechanical wave meaning it moves through some type of matter. It needs a medium to travel. Mechanical wave need a medium to travel through. But the electromagnetic wave do not need a medium. It can travel in space. طيب. A mechanical wave, it moves through some type of matter. The matter a wave travels through is called a medium. Okay? Such as يعني زي air, water, and so on. طيب. شوف. Look here, it's very important. Mechanical wave, the mechanical wave cannot travel through a vacuum or space, such as a space. Okay, this is important thing to know. So, waves can be mechanical or electromagnetic. The mechanical wave, it moves through some type of matter. This matter is called medium. Mechanical wave cannot travel through a vacuum, such as space. Sound waves are examples, are another type of mechanical wave. So sound waves are mechanical waves. It needs a medium. طيب. Sound can travel through the ocean, but it can also travel through a solid object, such as a piece of metal or gas, such as the air. It cannot travel through a vacuum, such as space. Okay.
أي صفحة؟ 393.
This is page 393. Okay. Another type of wave is an electromagnetic wave. This type of wave transfers electromagnetic radiation, a type of energy. يعني it carries electromagnetic radiation. Examples of electromagnetic radiation include visible light, the colors of rainbow that you see, radio waves, X-rays, all of these are electromagnetic, and microwaves. All of these are examples of electromagnetic radiation. طيب. Like a mechanical wave, electromagnetic waves transfer energy. يعني all, as we mentioned, all waves carry energy. Look, however, electromagnetic waves are unique in that they can travel without a medium. They can travel in space. But the mechanical wave, as we mentioned, notice the mechanical wave cannot travel through a vacuum. Okay. Understood now the difference between them, Shabab? The electromagnetic waves are unique because they can travel without a medium. Type. Now, both types of waves involve the transfer of energy without a transfer of matter. يعني either the mechanical wave or the electromagnetic wave, they carry energy, but they do not carry the matter itself. طيب. While mechanical waves travel through matter, the waves themselves do not move the matter to a new place. يعني for example, when sound look, when sound waves are mechanical waves. When sound travels through air, for example, when sound waves travel through air, they carry energy, but they do not carry the matter. They do not carry the air with them. They just carry energy. Okay, طيب. So all types of waves carry energy, but they do not carry the matter. They do not carry the matter to a new place. طيب. الآن we can classify waves into two types according to what? How the vibrations look. Waves can be classified into transverse waves and longitudinal waves. Okay? يعني waves also can be classified into transverse waves and longitudinal waves. What is the difference between them? Okay. Waves can be classified by how energy is transmitted. Energy is transmitted through a medium by mechanical waves. Electromagnetic waves are capable of transmitting energy through empty space. هذا كله حكيناه. Waves can also be classified by how the particles in a disturbance vibrate. أيوة. A mechanical wave begins when a source of energy causes a medium to vibrate. The direction of vibration determines what type of mechanical wave is produced. طيب. What is a transverse wave? A transverse wave travels perpendicular or at right angles, يعني 90 degrees, to the direction of the source of motion. يعني this is we can draw or the direction, the transverse waves move like this. يعني they are perpendicular to the direction of the motion of the vibrations. Okay, look again. A transverse wave travels perpendicular or at right angles to the direction of the source's motion. Look here. هذا مثال على transverse waves. طيب. The person in the figure 2 is using his arms to make up and down vibrations into ropes. Each particle of the rope moves up and down. The direction of the waves he producing, though, is perpendicular. Okay, perpendicular to that up and down motion. دايما in math, the word perpendicular means like this. يعني when one line is perpendicular to another, we say that like this. This line is perpendicular to this. They form a right angle or 90 degrees. طيب. The curved shape of the rope indicates the main features of the transverse wave. الآن في remember that the highest point of a wave is called إيش؟ crest. And the lowest point is the trough. تذكروا دائما هاي points. I want to remind you with these points, please. هذول very important. This is a wave. Look, this is the highest point, it's a crest. This point is called the crest. Okay, and this is the trough. اوكي. هذا الريست بوزيشن اسمه. هون هاي شو اسم هاي؟ what we call this? The distance.
Amplitude.
Amplitude. Thank you. This is the amplitude, and the distance from one, the wavelength is measured for the transverse waves. The wavelength, the wavelength of the transverse wave is measured by the distance from the crest to crest. This is called the wavelength. طيب. Again, these are the transverse wave. The highest point is the crest. Okay. The lowest point is the trough. Okay. And we have a rest position. And here is the amplitude, the distance from the rest position to the crest. And the distance from one crest to the next crest is called the wavelength. طيب. So the high point of a wave is its crest, and the low point or the lowest point is the trough. Halfway between the crest and the trough is the resting position. The distance between the highest crest, the distance between the highest crest and the resting position marks the wave's amplitude. Okay, so the amplitude is the distance between the highest crest and the resting position. Okay. In general, the amplitude of a wave is the maximum distance the medium vibrates from the rest position. طيب. Electromagnetic waves such as sunlight are example. يعني he give you example. The electromagnetic waves are examples of like sunlight are examples of transverse waves. They are transverse. Okay. Now the second type of waves is called the longitudinal waves. Now the longitudinal waves are different from the transverse wave in that a wave that travels in the same direction as the vibrations that produce it. يعني in the longitudinal wave they move in the same direction of the vibrations, not like the longitudinal waves. Okay, the longitudinal waves are different from transverse waves. The transverse waves are perpendicular to the direction of the vibrations, but in longitudinal waves, the longitudinal waves move in the same direction as the vibrations, like this. So a wave that travels in the same direction as the vibrations that produce it is called longitudinal waves. Sound is a longitudinal wave. Sound waves are longitudinal waves. طيب. Look here. This spring this explain or this spring shows the longitudinal waves. This area is called compression, and this area is called rarefaction. طيب. في عندنا another type of waves called surface waves. Combinations of transverse and longitudinal waves are called surface waves. ماشي؟ طيب. Again, I want to remind you the important properties of transverse waves. This is the crest. This is the rest position. This is a trough. Okay, this is a crest. Okay. طيب. And this is a longitudinal wave. This is a compression. Okay, this is a compression.
أستاذ حتجيب لنا أسئلة زي هيك؟
نعم.
حتجيب لنا أسئلة زي
ما في
هيك ولا
رسم
بس
ما في لا مش راح نجيب شيء في رسم ان شاء الله. الاسئله سهله بس انا بليز I want to remind you that يعني هذول الشغلات very important انه mechanical wave, what is the meaning of mechanical electromagnetic wave, crest, trough, amplitude, wavelength, compression, هذول very important. طيب what is the
أستاذ
wave؟
كيف نمط الأسئلة اللي حتجيبها؟
في multiple choice الأسئلة.
أنا حتجيب multiple choice.
الأسئلة multiple choice multiple choice وفي أسئلة يعني فيها كتابة. طيب okay. Properties of waves. Wavelength. What is the wavelength? It is determined by the distance it travels before it starts to repeat. The wavelength of a transverse wave, you have to know that there is a difference how to find the wavelength of the transverse wave and how to find the wavelength of the longitudinal wave. For transverse wave, the wavelength of a transverse wave is the distance from crest to crest, like this. يعني this, for example, this is a transverse wave. The distance from this crest to this crest is the wavelength. Okay? طيب. So for a transverse wave, the wavelength of a transverse wave is the distance from crest to crest. For a longitudinal wave, the wavelength is the distance from one compression to the next, like this. Hi. This is the wavelength of the longitudinal wave. This is compression, and this is another compression. So the distance from one compression to another is the wavelength for longitudinal wave. For transverse wave, again, the wavelength is from trough to trough or from crest to crest. طيب. Now, what is the frequency? هذول البروبرتيز please also important. Wavelength, frequency, واللي راح نيجي نحكي عنهم والwave energy والspeed ان شاء الله. هذول very important. Okay. The frequency is the number of times a wave repeats in a given amount of time, or يعني the frequency, the number of waves that pass a given point in a certain amount of time. يعني how many waves, simply frequency, how many waves pass a given point in a certain amount of time. طبعا frequency is measured in a unit called hertz. Okay, hertz. طلع, for example, if you make waves on a rope so that one wave passes by a point every second, يعني بيكون in this case the frequency will be 1 hertz, 1 wave per second or 1 hertz. Frequency is measured in units called hertz. A wave that occurs every second has a frequency of 1 hertz. If 2 waves passes in a second بصير عندنا الفريكونسي 2 hertz. طيب
أستاذ can I ask a question?
تفضل.
أستاذ حتجيب لنا إنه find the frequency of the wave؟
لا.
Okay.
طيب. Now the speed. what is all waves, all types of waves have a speed. يعني not all waves are the same speed. Of course, all waves have a speed. The speed of the wave is determined by the distance it travels in a certain amount of time. يعني like the speed of a car. When we say the speed of a car is 80 kilometers per hour, that means the distance it travels in a certain amount of time. The same thing for waves. The distance the wave travels in a given amount of time is called its speed. طيب. But يعني إن شاء الله راح تشوف إنه wave speed can be calculated. Wave speed can be calculated by multiplying its wavelength times its frequency. ماشي؟ يعني you can measure to calculate a wave's speed, divide the distance it travels by the time it takes, or you can also find the wave speed if you know its wavelength and frequency. Just multiply wavelength times the frequency. يعني if you know its wavelength and its frequency, just multiply the wavelength times the frequency. طبعا the speed are measured in the units meters per second. طيب. طبعا different waves, you have to know that different waves have different speeds. For instance, a light wave travels almost 1,000,000 times faster than a sound wave. دائما light wave is much faster than the sound wave in air. Look, a light wave travels almost 1,000,000 times faster than a sound wave travels through air. Waves also travel at different speeds through different materials. يعني the speed of the wave also different according to the medium. Light, for example, travels faster through water than through glass. يعني light travels faster in water than glass. Also, sound travels more than 3 times faster through water than through air. يعني sound waves travel faster in water than through air. طيب. Wave energy. Wave energy, waves, as we mentioned at the beginning of this lesson, that waves transmit energy from place to place. All waves carry energy from place to place. The amount of energy they transmit depends on how much energy was. يعني الآن there are many things determine the amount of energy in the wave. In general, مثلا faster vibrations transmit more energy. يعني waves with faster vibrations or faster waves have more energy. Also, the larger the amplitude, the more energy the wave has. يعني the larger amplitude vibrations also transmit more energy. كمان في عنا الآن in a mathematical term, waves energy is directly proportional to frequency. Okay, this is very important. When the frequency doubles, the energy doubles. So, as the frequency of the wave increases, as the frequency of the wave increases, its energy increases. So, when the frequency of the wave doubles, the energy also doubles. طيب. Also, in a mathematical term, waves energy is also proportional. Waves energy is proportional to the square of its amplitude. To the square. What does this mean? Square of its amplitude. If you shake a rope to make waves and then move your hand 3 times, okay, as high with each shake, the wave energy increases by a factor of 3 times 3 or 9. يعني waves energy proportional to the square of the of its amplitude. يعني if the amplitude increases 2 times, so the wave energy will increase by 4 times the square of its amplitude. طيب طبعا الwave energy is measured in joules like other forms of energy. Like other forms of energy, a wave's energy is measured in units called joules. طيب هذا everything about this lesson. خلينا نروح على lesson 5 من التوبيك الماضي. Wait a minute please. سامعيني شباب؟
Yes.
اوكي. طيب عندنا 4 minutes صح؟ طيب.
I don't know.
طيب let me share the screen. Is the screen shared?
Yes.
Oh, okay. هذا بسرعة quickly because there is no enough time. That's really good. Water as a resource. Okay. Approximately 97% of the water on Earth is undrinkable because it contains salt. طيب. هون عندنا please, hi, very important sources of freshwater pollution. What are the sources of freshwater pollution? Farming wastes, household pollutants, sediment, heat, oil and gasoline. طيب الآن please يعني focus on the definitions. Anything يعني is like this. هذا اللي بكون عليهم هذول definitions دائما please memorize them. طيب farming wastes can pollute the fresh water, can be a source of freshwater pollution. Farming wastes include animal wastes, fertilizers, pesticides, all of these sources of pollution. When it rains, animal wastes, fertilizers, and pesticides can wash away into nearby water sources and eventually the ocean. طيب household pollutants.
أي lesson؟
نعم ايش يا منيا؟
أي lesson؟
احنا باي لسن هذا لسن 4. هي طيب طيب sewage. What is sewage? It is the water and human wastes, the water and the human wastes that are washed down sinks, showers and toilets are called sewage. طيب these are also the household pollutants, like the sewage can pollute the fresh water. Industrial wastes, the waste products of factories and mines may also pollute the water. Many manufacturing processes use or produce toxic chemicals that need to be disposed of properly. طيب during this disposal, chemicals sometimes leak into the groundwater. Some chemicals such as heavy metals build up in the bodies of aquatic organisms, making them and the animals that eat them ill. طيب sediments, erosion carry as you know, erosion carry small particles of rocks and sand from the land to the water, into the water. These particles are called sediments. Sediments are very fine particles of soil. Okay, sediments can cover up sources of food, nests and eggs of aquatic organisms. طيب heat also is another source of pollution. When heat negatively affects bodies of water, it's called thermal pollution. This is called thermal pollution, when heat negatively affects bodies of water. Factories and power plants use water to cool their machinery. This heated water is often discharged back into the environment because it's so hot the water can kill
أستاذ
organisms.
خلصت الحصة.
طيب يلا goodbye يا شباب and best wishes.
Bye.
Best wishes إن شاء الله.
باي.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye.